Be with you in just a moment. Let's gather our blanket or blankets, blocks, and also a foam roller if you have one, please. If you don't have a foam roller, you could use like a big blanket rolled up or 2 blankets rolled up, something that's a little firmer than just a blanket by itself. Hey, Jenny. Is it just me and you? I think so. Ow! Yeah, there's nobody on Facebook yet. I just checked, but it's just now 5, so well, we'll give it a minute or so. Yeah. Yeah, although I had some trouble. I don't know if you noticed any of that, but I had to take some of the classes off because my lavalier microphone was shorted out and it was like crackling. And then it would just like shut off for a long period of time and then it would come back for a little bit. And I didn't know it while I was doing it. I had no way to know it. So last Saturday, the Zoom call was fine because I use these for that. But the playback from Facebook is worthless. So I just deleted it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. This is not it. Yeah, this is not good. It was okay, good. You got something out of it. Yeah, that was a good one, wasn't it? So I think what I'll do is repeat. So Monday's class didn't work either. So on Monday, I'm going to do the hip freedom one, because it was a really good class. I was so bummed it didn't work. And then on Saturday, I'm going to repeat what I did last week, which was the contralateral flow, because that was fun too. I'm sure it'll be a different class because I always do things differently, but okay, so we do have one, I think maybe on Facebook, so let's get going. I'm gonna start my own little playlist here. And cool. All right, well, we're going to begin actually in tabletop tonight for a change. So have your blanket underneath your knees if you feel like you need that extra cushion. And start with the hands maybe slightly forward of the shoulders so we don't have too much pressure on the wrists right away. Do create a nice seal across the base knuckles of your hands. And then we're just going to start with a gentle tucking and untucking of the pelvis and the lower back area. You can widen across your upper back with your shoulder blades drawing apart. And just breathe naturally. And then pause the pelvis movement. And let's do upper back. Just a little tiny cat-cow there. You can allow the shoulder blades to help a little bit with that. It's just kind of natural instinct. And then let's put it all together. Pelvis, low back, mid back, upper back. Head can tip forward and upward. And then a slow wave the other direction, starting at the bum, progressing all the way up until your head moves last. Let's try a couple more like that. Get rid of my glasses. I just realized I had them on. Organize your breathing in a way that supports the flow of movement. It doesn't have to be any particular way. Finish whatever cycle that you are on. And then you're going to take your knees just a little bit wider than the hips. Stretch your hips back. And for your child's pose, you could either just go down to normal, or you can make it a little more conservative by placing your blocks or a bolster underneath your trunk, and then come on down. Allowing the lower back to just casually release. If your forehead is touching the floor, you could gently rock your head side to side. Let's use this pose as an exploration of the back body breathing. Feeding that inhale to the back side of your ribs. And imagining even that you could expand down into your low back. Rise back up to all fours and then lower to your forearms. So we're just going to change the setup a little bit here and notice if that changes the experience of the spinal wave. If you wanted to, on this one, you could start with the head moving or the neck moving first, and then pulling your heart forward, segmentally lowering that middle spine, and then finally the tailbone lifts. And then you can start with the head again, dropping the chin, starting to dome and around the upper back, pulling sternum in. Last little bit, drop the tailbone, find your cat pose. And then just freedom of movement here. Move through the cats and the cows in a speed and a rhythm that works for you tonight. If you wanted to do one breath per movement, that's cool. Play around with the exchange of the breath and the movement. Maybe it's inhale to cat and exhale to cow, or the traditional way. Since I'm a rebel, I usually reverse the breath and do it opposite of normal. Last one, finish off this last repetition. And for our next cat-cow, we're going to take it into a side stretch with a little bit of a twist. Let's bring left hand down beside us. Right arm's going to reach across towards the left side. And then as you lower your trunk, you can also kind of peek to the left and drop your right outer shoulder armpit down towards the mat. Now reach both arms off on that left side diagonal. You can bring forehead to the floor if that's comfy. Consciously expanding your breath out to the right side here, even if it's only in your mind. Make your right hip a little heavier. And before we take the other side, let's open the hips a little bit. Come back to tabletop. Walk your knees back a little. And then go ahead and let your hips lower down as if you were going to come into an up dog or a king cobra. Lift your heart. You don't have to get too crazy with this back bend. Just try to feel the front side of the pelvis opening slightly. And then rock back. Let's go child's pose. Right hand beside your leg. Use that to push. Reach your left arm and then pivot a little bit in the upper back over towards the right. Left ear towards your arm. Just a mild rotation here. Stay reaching towards the right side, but reach both arms out and let your forehead rest. Left hip heavy, long on the left side. And then we'll rock back up, tabletop. You can lower all the way down for a Sphinx pose. Find a little support from the lower body. Activate your legs slightly, like you're really trying to push them into the ground. And then just a little tuck under with the pelvis so we can get out of the low back slightly. And let's actually take that all the way up the spine into flexion for a cat pose here in the Sphinx. Maintain the tuck under with your lower body, but start to draw your heart forward. Shoulders down, gaze over your right shoulder and over to your left shoulder. Look forward and then tip your right ear towards your right shoulder, stretching now on the left side of your neck. And then left to left. Lower all the way down just so you can pull your hands back beside your chest and push back, tabletop. Lateral cat and cow. Kind of like our lateral child's pose, we're just going to move the hands off on a diagonal here to the left and just do 2 rounds of flexion and extension. Moving on to the right now, stretching through the left side a little longer. If you ever feel any discomfort on the shortening side, so for this one it would be on the right side, come out of the lateral flexion a little bit. We want to be limited by the side that's stretching rather than the side that is compressing. Final one here. And then bring yourself back to neutral. 1 or 2 yoga blocks underneath your bottom, sitting into just a tall kneeling position, nice and casual. I'm going to move the neck a little bit again. Try to keep your shoulders pretty square. Just pivot your head to the right. And as you have your gaze over your right shoulder, dip your chin down towards your right collarbone. And then just scrape your chin towards the middle. And then look back up to neutral. And pivot your head to the left. Pure rotation. Dip your chin down towards collarbone, and then follow that collarbone to the middle, and then back to neutral. Now we'll go side stretch in the neck. Right ear towards right shoulder, shoulders stay easy. 2 pivots, right to right, so chin kind of tucking down, and then we're going to go up and to the left with the chin. And down and to the right. Chin towards shoulder. And then up and to the left, more like ear towards the shoulder. Neutralize. Left ear towards your left shoulder, a side stretch for your neck. And then 2 pivots. Down and left. And up to the right. And then as you finish that, just find your neutral neck position. And this one might feel a little bit awkward at first, but I really like it for the neck area. So first you're going to think of forward head position, which is what we don't ever want to be in that for a long period of time. So just kind of bring your whole face forward and then draw your skull back and tuck your chin like you're trying to give yourself a double chin or close your throat on purpose. Take the whole head forward in space, chin and forehead in the same line, and then snuggle it back. Kind of like a turtle head, poking out, reaching forward, and then drawing back. Really tuck your chin. Keep this backwards head position and take your hands behind your head and just gently press your head back into your hands. Okay, we're going to move on to a new shape. First things first, we're going to roll up the blanket so that we have kind of a foam roller sized roll. You may decide you want something for underneath your head. We'll decide that when we get down. Let's find a side lying banana pose. Blanket right underneath the rib cage. And you could choose to use your arm to rest your head on, or you could let your head rest all the way to the ground, which is going to stretch your neck a little bit differently. I think I'm going to go for arms supporting me. You could also slide a yoga block or another blanket underneath your head. And we're going to bring a little yin energy into this by being here for a little bit. Let that top arm find its way to a comfortable position. Same with the legs. There's no one certain way they need to be. Feeling for the shaping of the breath, noticing where it tends to go when you inhale. I'm just trying to keep it fairly low and wide so it's not up in our neck or shoulders. I didn't even need music tonight. My wind chimes are really playing an intense song out there with this wind. Okay, so we're going to make a small change. Bring your bottom arm towards the long side of your mat, just kind of straight out from your shoulder. The left arm can go behind you, and then we are going to make our neck work a little bit. So you're going to find a lateral flexion, right ear towards right shoulder, and then left ear towards left shoulder. And you're going to realize pretty quickly, I think, if you're anything like me, that your head is very heavy. And this isn't an easy thing to do. Let's just do a few of those. Letting your head succumb to gravity without letting it drop, and then consciously trying to bring it up a little bit beyond neutral. You could also play with rotation here if you wanted to. So as you come into either position of lateral flexion, you could pivot and either look up if your head is up, or rotate down. You could also play with flexion and pure extension. You're going to stay in a pain-free range of motion and move your neck for a few more breaths. And then use your top arm for support to help you push up off of that blanket and set it aside. Do you have your foam roller? Yes, you do. We're going to use the foam roller before we do the other side. So it's going to go in the upper back. Oh, I thought that was your foam roller right next to you. Sorry, Jenny. That'll work. Just kind of like you're lounging on it. Hands can go behind the head just to support your neck because it's probably a little bit tired. Don't worry about the elbows sweeping wide or squeezing in. Just let them land where they land. And then pick your hips up off the ground, push through your feet, and just make some small front to back rolls on your upper back area, shoulder blades. Think of a little bit of spinal flexion like we're doing a core crunch. And now let your spine extend somewhat over that roller and do a few more passes front to back. If you find a spot that feels kind of sticky, you can just kind of pause there and breathe. Why does it feel so good when my back cracks a little bit? Okay, changing it up. Let's find kind of a neutral spine. So like halfway between a curl and a fish pose. And then you're just going to make a little bit of rotation in that upper back. Actually, let's do more like a lateral crunch. Like you're trying to pull elbow to hip. I think that'll work a little better. Your hips can be up or down. Kind of like a cat trying to scratch its back. And then let's do another few front to back rolls. Maybe coming up a little higher on the shoulder blades and slightly lower to just underneath the shoulder blades. And then set your tush down, sit back up, foam roller set aside. We need our blanket now again, and we'll come on to the left side. For the banana. Timer set. Find that Goldilocks spot where you can be very comfortable. And then see if you can drop into stillness. We're going to move on to the neck mobilization. Left arm is going to shoot out front. Right arm can stay resting. And then we'll move the head, lateral flexion. Ear to shoulder, and a slow transition in between. Try to control the descent as you're moving the left side of your head towards the floor, as if you're trying to resist gravity slightly. And then as you bring your head up to the right shoulder, do your best to keep your right shoulder out of the movement. Just let it be. You can do one or two more just with the side flexion, and then you can add in, if you want to, either the rotation in combination. You could also do the flexion extension. And just notice if there's a big, obvious difference between how your neck performs in this relationship to gravity compared to what we've done previously. I'm sensing some stuff here on my right side. And it's not in my neck, it's actually in my shoulder blade. Interesting. All right, finishing up these last couple of breaths here. Right arm's going to help you out of this position. Push the floor away. Set your blanket aside for now. Keep it in the roll and get your foam roller back out. And let it do its magic. Sampling different positions of your spine, a little bit of a crunch up or a curl back or neutral. And then I just like to sometimes think of scrubbing right in between my shoulder blades by doing that little lateral side to side crunching. Depending on your foam roller, that might be too intense. If you have the little nubby one, it might be a lot. I chose my soft one tonight. All right, let's go ahead and set the tush down. Foam roller off to the side, and we're going to set up our first twist. So I'm going to let you decide if you want to do a supine twist on your back, or if you wanted to try to do a prone twist. So the prone twist, you would just be sitting like on the left hip, and then you would turn your chest to the floor or your bolster. And obviously you know what a supine twist is, but we could choose how to have the legs in that. So it could be figure four legs, twisted roots. You could even go figure four and take the legs the other direction, or just kind of a staggered leg twist. Stacked leg twist. Get organized in whichever twist you're choosing, and I don't think it matters too much which way you go first. So I'm going to set my timer. And we're going to go for 4 minutes on this. Feel free to drop your eyes closed. Use any of the supports that you have around you to create ultimate comfort. As your body starts to adjust to the shape, maybe there's more depth there in terms of the movement range. But in the essence of yin, let's try not to push or force our way any deeper. Just allow the breath to carry us in. Feeling a sense of your breath nourishing your spine in this gentle twist. Letting your breath come without too much fuss. You don't have to over-breathe, but we will try to encourage a little bit more patience as we let the air go out of our nose. Slow trickle. Before you move out of the twist, breathe in fully and fill up your whole canister, and then retain your breath as you rearrange your body back out of the twist to neutral, and then let that air out. Neutralize. Shift your pelvis back, tuck your shoulders down, and then curl yourself up into a cannonball. Hold your legs, draw them towards you. You may keep your head down as well as your shoulders, or you can make this even more flexion oriented by curling and lifting up with the head and shoulders. Either way, you could rock a little bit to the sides. And bring your feet back down and set them wide on your mat. And move your legs side to side for pinwheel wipers. Letting the pelvis be free to move along with. Really soft spiral there. And then before you take the opposite side twist, just settle for a moment in neutral and observe current time sensations through your whole body. Let's twist the other way. Follow the path that your breath takes. What's the natural tendency here in terms of the depth of your breath? Where you feel the most expansion? Notice, is it just maybe a little bit more challenging to breathe with the upper body rotating like this? If you're having trouble finding a full breath, you might try to lessen the intensity of your position. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you want a little more, allow your breath to take you just a bit deeper into the rotation. We're going to use our expansive inhale. Fill all the way up. Hold that inhale as you unwind your twist. And then reset yourself once again. Thighs can tuck in towards your trunk. Maybe you hold your legs, option to find that upper body curling, or just pause here. We'll have several choices on how to set up our fish pose tonight. And depending on what tools you have, that'll be unique to you. So option one would be to use a block setup. You could actually put your two blocks underneath you about where your shoulder blades are, so that the bottom edge of the block lands at the bottom tip of your shoulder blades. That's actually quite nice. If you've only got one block, it could go laterally underneath that same area. And then another nice option that's a little softer is to use your blanket. I think I'm going to go for that one. Once you're satisfied with your arrangement of parts, choose how you want your legs, knowing that you can always change your mind. Since we're going to be here for a little bit, your legs might start straight, and then maybe you want to bend them and take your knees inward or outward for a while. I'll let you know when we're about halfway through, so you can make a choice to change if needed. How do you want your arms? Keep your neck free. Heavy shoulders. And a simple breath cycle in and out. Maybe tending towards a slower breath. If you're inclined to switch up the leg position, I'm going to go for reclined cobblers with blocks. And then settle back in. Allow for as much expansion as your belly will allow here, not just forward, but also out to the sides. A freedom of breath. Exploring that brief pause after the completion of a full exhalation. And try to receive that next breath really broadly on the sides. Feeling spaciousness around your rib cage and the whole front side of your spine. We have one final stop before we take a rest tonight. So go slow as you release this particular position. It's not very elegant getting up out of this, at least for me. You could roll to your side or just do a little curl up. You'll need one yoga block. Come on back down. Bend your knees. Press down and lift your hips. Yoga block either on the lowest or the second side underneath your sacrum for our bridge. Bridge with legs bent. Partially extended or all the way stretched out. And depending on what you decide on, that block might have to shift slightly upward or downward. Can you visualize a little more space here around your neck and your shoulders, the relationship between the two? And allow your shoulders to go passive and melt back and down. And then feel a sense of decompression in the low spine. And expansion on the front side of your hips. If you're super comfy here, you don't need to change a thing. You could also move the legs a little bit. Just some really casual windshield wipers. Just enough so you can feel that gentle sliding motion at the sacrum, but not so much that you feel a twisting of the spine. If your legs are still extended, rebend your knees. Find a nice firm foundation in your feet. Tuck slightly under with your pelvis. And lift up off of your block. Arrange your body for your final pose of rest in a way that is ultra comfortable and satisfying for you. Explore a few rounds of really intentional breathing. More volume, more length. And then release any attempt to control your breathing and just let it flow. As you let go of any remaining tension or holding around the shoulders, neck, the jaw. Feeling the containment of your skin smooth out, relax, go soft. Drop your eyelids closed or cover your eyes. And practice stillness. Take rest. Invite your body to stay as it is, focusing your mind's attention on current body sensations, if there are any. Or honing in your attention on those areas of your body that seem to be somewhat offline right now, in deep rest. Observe the cadence of your breath, the fullness of it, or the simplicity of it. Is there a sound to your breath? And if there's any areas of your body that are in need of some support or healing or a transformation of sorts, hold your attention there as if you could breathe into those areas. And then move your attention to the space in the center of your forehead, the third eye area. And as you hold your attention there, imagine you could breathe right to that spot, behind the eyes. Body resting, and whole body breathing. When the time is right, you can start to make your awakening movements. Keep it very low key and gentle and patient. Just to be guided by the instincts of your body. And feel free to roll to one side. Draw your thighs up towards your trunk. Use your arms to press your way to your seat and find a comfortable seat with your legs crossed. Maybe on a yoga block if that helps things. Feel more balanced and supported. And then we're going to move back to the neck. Just a few passes either in rotation or a side stretch or a front to back reach. Bring your head back on straight, and now we'll take a lateral rib shift, as if you could pull one side of the ribs towards that same side arm as you keep your pelvis firmly rooted and grounded. Now pull the heart front to back, flexing and extending your spine, any amount. And then we'll make it a little bit more circular. So draw to one side, pull your heart forwards, draw your ribs to the opposite side, and then scoop back. Twice more in this direction. Allow your shoulders to play too. Reverse it. To the side, to the front, opposite side to the rear. And then you can just press pause one last time. I'd like to thank you for practicing with me tonight. Be sure to let me know how this went for you and or if you have any suggestions for next time. It was my pleasure to guide you. Namaste.